This is the Collaboration Dynamics Podcast, helping you work together better with Judy Rees, X-Ray listener, best-selling author, international virtual collaboration trainer, and master of metaphor. Hear more at xraylistening.com.
Hello and welcome to the Collaboration Dynamics podcast. With me today I've got Bernie Mitchell. Bernie, would you like to introduce yourself and say the kind of things you do?
The kind of things I do is I avoid job titles. I'm very enthusiastic about blogging and podcasting and things like the sharing economy and most importantly, collaboration. So I feel I'm in the right place.
Excellent. So that makes a perfect starting point to ask you, when you're collaborating at your best, you are like what?
This comes from a little workshop we did together, Judy, where without even thinking about it, I said I'm like a dolphin, and I've never thought about that in my life before. But I feel like a dolphin.
What kind of dolphin?
A really good-looking one. It was going back to the workshop. It was because they're sort of thinking and aware, but they're gliding in and out of the water. And when I'm sitting in front of my computer and collaborating and jumping in and out of Trello and things like that, it seems like that kind of swooshing things around, but constantly moving in hopefully in the right direction.
So thinking and aware and gliding in and out.
Yes.
And jumping in and out of Trello.
Yes. Or whichever app we tend to be using at the time.
So is there anything else about that dolphin when it's jumping in and out like that of whichever app?
I think it's because it's steering itself, but it's also part of a group of people there's a synchronicity there. That's the word I'm looking for. And if you're in the room with me now, I'm suddenly noticed I'm making a up and down notion with my arm to announce the movement.
So the movement is that up and down with your arm. So you're steering yourself, that dolphin, and there's a synchronicity. Is there anything else about how that synchronicity works, given that you're online, you're on your computer, you haven't got the people in the room with you half the time?
Can I give you an example of what happened yesterday?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I listened to a podcast I connect with someone online about a topic in a book, and then I connect with someone else online about that topic, and we start talking on Twitter. Then I listen to a podcast, and it turns out the person we connected to online is in Europe and looking for a place to stay in Paris. So then I contact three people in Paris and who are exactly the right type of person, and say, can you get this person to here? So someone I've never met is traveling around Europe, and they need somewhere to stay in order to get to Belgium to meet someone. And through the whole sharing economy, we share, do you know this person here, jumping onto Facebook, messaging Twitter, a couple of emails. And then in about an hour, they've gone from, I was going to sleep in a railway station, to I'm heading into my train gets in at this time, I meet my car share at this time, and then I'll be off to Belgium like I'm supposed to be doing, and I've saved half the money. And that was, I think the key to that is it wasn't, I just jumped online and did that. It was all those relationships come from different, I met those people in Paris, Argentina, New York, and they've worked on this project and this project and this project. So we were all connected to be able to communicate really fast. And also, it always sounds a bit cheesy, this, but the trust was there. So, for someone to say, oh, if you can come and stay at my house tonight if you're traveling, and it just so happened that they were all interested in exactly the same topics, even though they never met, it worked really well. That's my dolphin experience.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting experience because it combines so much of the online and the offline experience. There's people you've met in the flesh, and there's people you just know about online, and you have relationships with both.
Yep.
Because people who don't live that kind of life, I suppose, would find that surprising.
If you go back maybe even 10 years, the thought of putting a photo of yourself online was really weird. And there's still Like my dad still says, "Oh, what are you using? What are you using your bank on your phone for? You could get robbed," and that type of stuff. But I think a group of us are really, really comfortable with that, and it creates a flow. So we've got something else to worry about somewhere, but we, the internet and that type of connecting's like air or water. If that sounds okay.
So in what way is it like air or water? Essential, presumably.
Yeah, I was trying to. I missed the trick there. I was trying to link that back to the dolphin thing, because it's all we're immersed in it. That's where we're immersed in it. So to extend the metaphor, it lubricates us and feeds us, but we're surrounded by it. So it's. So
the dolphin is immersed in it, and the dolphins presumably immersed in it. I'm guessing that there are other dolphins.
Oh, it's part of a. Is it a school of dolphins? Do you have?
I don't know, but some I know that there's not normally just one, is there?
No, they don't hunt alone. If they hunt.
So there's the school or the shoal of dolphins are all immersed in that connecting.
Yes.
And is there anything else about that connecting that's like water, and they're immersed in it?
Is there anything else about that connecting that's like water? You could go for, when water's running down a mountain or something, it just changes direction. And it's sort of always moving in one thing, but it kind of fills into the cracks and always finds a way down. That type of analogy would fit there for me. And you could also build on the flow. I think flow's a really important element.
What kind of flow?
So I have found this year that do you know that cute little phrase which is about meditation, which is you should meditate for 20 minutes a day unless you're really busy, and then you should meditate for an hour. And I've got, the last year I've got really into meditating, and whenever I wake up in a panic, I always go, all right, I've got so much to do. I'm going to sit and meditate, and it levels everything out. And then almost by magic, things fall into an order, and I'm calm, and off we go into the flow. But it's like to act. That's something I want to sound too much like a self-help guru. To access the flow, you need to calm down first. So you could go, when the water's all calm, it's very easy for the dolphin to dip in and out of it and maintain their trajectory. But if it's a really choppy sea and everything, it's best to stay underneath the water or stay at home.
And what kind of things causes choppy water like that?
I'll take it that's not a meteorological question. Today, my answer to that is, like we were talking just before we started recording. Excuse me. Like we were talking just before we were recording, is what the one thing. So trying to do too many things at the same time is like hitting frogs at the fair on that machine, and so things become choppy. But finish it. I'm working with someone at the moment who insists on having. Quite rightly, they insist on having one thing finished before we start the next thing, which I found really hard to do, but it's actually a really effective way to work. So starting 25 blog posts at the same time doesn't work for him. But, having one finish can push it through the production line. So I make his waters choppy when I start too many things and don't finish them.
So you make his waters choppy when you start too many things and don't finish them. So when you start things and don't finish them, what happens to your waters?
they become very. That's the sort of question you ask an old lady, isn't it? They become very cloudy. Or quite, in conversations like this, I use that. The snow globe thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you shake it up and you can't see anything, and then when you leave it and it's calm. So it's actually, even though a part of me is going, oh, I need to do more, faster, quicker, faster. The slowing down actually gets more delivered
mm-hmm.
in a much more effective way. A friend of mine, Lisa, said she was doing a talk and she said since she started drinking herbal tea and more herbal tea and less espresso, she's realised that slow is much more effective than fast. And she was talking she was making a joke, obviously, but she was talking in a business context, how we're obsessed with doing everything quicker and faster. And in her, I agree with her. But, in her experience, that's misses the I think it misses the foundations and the connections that are available.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I'm curious around all of this, we were talking before about the fact that you and I both have a thing about connecting people and ideas as part of what we do. And I'm wondering about the relationship between doing lots of things at once and connecting people and ideas. For you, do those two ideas have... Is there a relationship between doing lots of things at once and connecting people and ideas?
Is that do you mean doing lots of different tasks at once or working on lots of projects at once?
I don't know. It could be. I don't know how it is for you. I'm just curious.
So if I'm at an event or a conference, without even thinking about it, I'll walk through and I'll grab people and say, oh, you need to speak to them, you need to speak to them. Mm-hmm. And people have sometimes complained that I introduce them and then run away, mm-hmm. which I kind of did on purpose a little bit because I wasn't quite sure what to say. So now I just say, I'm going to introduce you to you and run away. Is that okay? Which obviously no one ever says, no, it's not, because
that would be rude.
Yeah, that's my get out thing. But putting people together and then being a bit of a foil, mm-hmm. and then running off. And I read a lot of people's blogs, so it's very easy to say, oh, I read your blog about this and your blog about this. That's where you should connect. So they don't end up talking about the weather or the journey down. They end up talking about, vaccines in Africa and how mobile technology can, enhance that process. So there's that element of like running through and connecting people very quickly, and then I must overthink it, but I spend a lot of time trying to look for the connections in projects. Mm-hmm. So a way to explain that would be like repurposing content in a project. So we did this podcast interview, and how can we turn that into an ebook and a blog and a SlideShare that offers accurate value to where it's going. So it's not just like photocopying it in different ways. It actually serves that audience better than a podcast would serve that audience, mm-hmm. and not just because of the method of delivery. And then how can we attach that to an event thing or something else that's going on in the market? Mm-hmm. So spotting connect. So that comes back to the spotting connections between projects and people.
Mm. And that spotting connections between projects and people, that can happen when the dolphin is immersed in the connecting and is steering itself and thinking and aware and jumping in and out and gliding in and out. And there's that synchronicity. So all that can happen all at once.
I suppose we extend this story is one thing happens when it jumps up, and another thing happens when it goes down.
Mm-hmm.
So if I spend too much time at events, I get really, really exhausted, and I sort of there's a bit of an introvert thing going on there. So I can only be up so many times, and then I have to go and hide again and recharge and look around at what I've gathered.
Mm-hmm.
Look around at what I've gathered. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So like a kind of thing that's happening at the moment is the iCold Day project. And do you know Working Out Loud Week?
No.
So it's run by a guy called John Stepper and Simon, I can't remember your name. And it's about, I think something you'd be very interested in is how I'm scared now, I'm going to present it inaccurately. It's like if we work out loud, like people blog about what they're working on, like it might be internally in a bigger company like Salesforce or Deutsche Bank, or it might be in the kind of environment that you and I work in that co-working associate way. But we tell people I'm working on this and I'm finding this difficult, and then other people will dive in. Mm-hmm. So we all, as a community, will all learn and find out how we can help other people in a supportive, collaborative way, rather than in a I'm going to hire you to make my website type way.
Mm.
And
an interesting idea.
It's I think the hashtag, if you Google Working Out Loud, lots of stuff comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a hashtag on Twitter, which I'm not going to be able to find now.
Mm. Never mind, we'll find it. But go on.
So I'm trying to make the connection between look for the point of connection between those two projects for the people, because lots of people have, when I've been involved in things, people have said, "Oh, you should connect with these guys," and it's been like a nice idea, but it hasn't really been the right kind of fit. Mm. Or it would take the focus away from what each party's trying to achieve. So just because two people are in the food industry and they're in the meat industry, there's a big difference between an organic farmer and McDonald's. Mm. So while they're doing the same thing, they probably wouldn't work for them to collaborate. But there is a point of collaboration between these two projects, which I've yet to find. So I've only been looking for 2 days, so it's okay.
The two projects being iCall Day, so that's International Collaboration Day, which is about co-working spaces.
Yep.
And Working Out Loud Week.
Yep. There's two Working Out Loud weeks this year. One's on at the moment at the time of recording, and the next one is I think it's the 15th of November. Mm-hmm. And the object of the movement, which is like really unattached. It's not like there's some, £2,000 membership a year to pay. It's just like it's thrown out there and given away. And I love things like that. And for people to start meeting in groups and working out loud together.
Mm-hmm. Now, points of connection seem fairly obvious, but are they interesting points of connection? So presumably one of the reasons that people use co-working spaces is so they can do a little bit of working out loud.
They do. But some co-working, even in our co-working spaces, it's easy to, that's where I've been living in one for the last 2 years. And some days I go in and don't talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. And which is really naughty of me. And other days we just sort of sit around talking and working out a problem together. And I'd like to have more of those sitting around working out a problem together type of things. And there's a I think this is in the collaborative way. It's really hard to ask for help, even though we'd recommend for other people to do it. Mm. To be in, well, as I've worked in more and more openly collaborative situations and using software, saying, "Can anyone help me with this?" is like the last thing I intuitively want to do. But if things have moved much faster, as I've said, "Oh, can I have some help here, please?" I know I give this impression of knowing everything there is to know, but actually I don't really. And often people go, "Oh, me neither. I thought I was the only one that didn't know how to, switch that on in Google Calendar or, export a document from Word to wherever you need to do it."
It's so funny, isn't it? I mean, I'm absolutely in the same kind of thing. I couldn't possibly. The thing that is absolutely stressing me out at the moment, at the time of recording, I feel like I could not possibly share that online. It would just be too awful to do that. Even though it is a purely software problem.
Yep.
How embarrassing can it possibly be to say I can't send an email from Adobe Reader through a piece of corporate system, which is obviously some kind of magical firewall designed to defeat the unwary. But I don't feel like I can say that on social media because asking for help is just too hard.
Well, there's one of the biggest searches you can do on Twitter, which I read about this in a book, is anyone know how. If you type anyone know how to into Twitter, I know millions of things will come up there. Mm-hmm. And there's been different. Twitter keeps on changing for me, but there's this going through a bit of a. I'm trying to like reconnect with people on there because if it used to be I used to be connected all the time on there and ask that sort of thing to people. Does anyone know a good app that does this? Does anyone know a good thing that does this? Does anyone know where to find a vegetarian restaurant in Soho or that type of thing? And I use it less and less for that. And a group of us have been talking about we missed that banter, and it was people that weren't necessarily in the same location or industry, but we were just interested in each other. And a lot of those people I've learned stuff from over the years by reading their stuff and following links in it because they're in an industry that I'd like to know about, but I wouldn't trust to read about it in a paper or, I like them, and then I find out what they do for a living.
Mm-hmm. And you were saying that that kind of feel of just being able to ask, you're not doing it so much anymore.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay with asking, but it seems to have my corner of because Twitter's huge. Mm-hmm. My corner of Twitter seems to have lost that element, and part of that I wonder was, I used to spend a lot of time with marketers who were all online, being inbound and social, and now I spend more time with techie, sharing economy, product people. Mm-hmm. Who need to market their business, but they don't like the internet unless they're building stuff on it, or they don't like talking to people. Mm.
And so, then what happens?
So part of that, I'm going to answer I'm going to chicken out of your question there a little bit, but part of this, why I think it's got quieter as well, is people have started using a tool called Slack, which connects to things like Trello, Basecamp, and Asana, and a lot of technical things. So a lot of that conversation has come, in my environment, has come off of Twitter, and we used to use Facebook a lot, which was a really bad idea. We used to use Facebook groups to chat in, and all of that has come off of. There's one group which is at least 70 people who are working on something every month, and we all use Slack now, and it's way more efficient, and it connects to Google Drive and Docs and stuff like that, and collaboration goes on there, and it's definitely better. But that means we're hardly ever online socially.
Because Slack is explicitly a work thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that social piece needs to be in there for work to actually happen, I suspect. Because you don't have that dolphin synchronicity if you don't have any of the social chat.
That happens in Slack. And I work in 3 teams, and one team there's like 7 people in it, and we're all in different parts of the world, like Japan, the States, and Spain, and UK, and Sweden, and we're very social in there. We all work in a co-working space or on our own. So we'll say, leaving my desk now, and we take photos of our lunch, and that's how I've only met I've met two of these people ever, and I've been working with them for 2 years, and but that's how we connect. And I probably know more about them than I know some members of my family, because we have this, water cooler banter in this Slack channel every day. And then we share links to books and videos and stuff like that. And the other bigger channels aren't quite so social. I think other people have things going on in there, but they're not quite as what's the word? Water coolery is that? If that is a word, sorry.
It is now. You'll be entering the dictionary. The first use of the word water coolery.
Water coolery.
As an adjective. So, when all of that's how you do collaboration, if you had... Earlier on you mentioned that one of the things that was important about all of this was trust. And I know from talking to people who are nervous of the internet and of social media and that kind of thing, and they read about things like sort of Twitter mobs and that guy who made those unfortunate comments about women in science and was hounded out of his job and so on and so forth, and they think, oh no, I can't reveal anything about myself online. If you had a quick tip for them, what would it be?
I'm trying not to say just think about what you're saying, because that's a bit obvious. I think it would be to look at what your core values or stuff are. I'm gonna steal Simon. I saw Simon Sinek speak in London, and someone asked him a question about how do you know what to say, and he says, because I only ever talk about stuff I know about or like, and that's it. I don't really need to prepare, because I know the answer to everything I get asked, because I'm really passionate about it. So maybe if that guy is passionate about, I'm not quite sure the story, but I'd imagine if he got hounded out of his job, he would have said something detrimental to women in science. So if that's his view, and maybe I don't agree with that, but maybe he shouldn't have said that. Or he should have thought about opening his mouth, or should have thought about where his, what does he value most? Is working with women in science he doesn't like, and getting a paycheck every month, or maybe he should move somewhere where it's better. Because don't put yourself in that situation.
Talk about things you know about and things you like.
Yeah, I'm not. I like that phrase. I'm still working out how to position it. I think it's an ongoing balancing act, really. But I can't remember who said it. You probably know this. If you don't stand for anything, oh dear, messed that up. You'll fall for anything if you don't stand for something. And people, I found. This really helped me with blogging. The people I was really interested in are the people with a firm opinion, and I didn't always agree with it, but they were like open, honest, vulnerable, and had an opinion. And the people that were kind of saccharine, middle of the road, daytime TV safe, were just not interesting to read anymore. So I'm not sure if this is answering your question, Judy. Sorry, but that's where I am with that.
Okay, lovely stuff. Now, I feel we're coming to the end of our time. So if people want to find you on Twitter or wherever, what kind of people should contact you, and how do they track you down?
The easiest way to find me is to type Bernie J Mitchell, all one word, into Google or Bing, and that will bring up my website and LinkedIn and Twitter. The best way to contact me is on Twitter, which is @Bernie J Mitchell. And who should contact me? I'm really interested in people, not so much definitely not in a kind of commercial sense, but I'm really interested in people who are collaborating and joining together and finding that intersection of like tech and cities and communication. And that's the element I'm really interested in the whole sharing economy bubble, because I think there's a intersection rapidly developing of people just being a bit more mindful in how we treat our planet and how we use our tech to do that.
So tech and cities and communication and the sharing economy.
Yeah. Fabulous.
Well, thank you very much indeed for playing along with this interesting game and sharing your thoughts on the whole thing. And I hope lots of interesting people move in your direction as a result.
I can see my email filling up already. And thanks very much. I'm enjoying your podcast, Judy.
Great. Thanks very much indeed.
Bye-bye.